Yeah, good morning.
Read the Mishnah,
Dafid
the
Gimel.
Mishnah.
Yeah, Dafid Gimel, the Mishnah. We're on with the rest of the world. Up to date.
Actually, a few lines ahead of the rest of the world.
So the Mishnah is in the middle of talking about common denominators between a get and shechur of Eved. Yeah, just tell me how. Okay.
I know the new connection. That's the new one.
Okay, we'll try.
That's perfect.
Okay. So the Mishnah is talking about the common denominators between get and a shechur. And interesting, the Gemara mentioned this before already, and unlike the Brisa, the Mishnah doesn't say a number. The Mishnah talks, and this is already the fourth one. The Brisa said there are three, and the Gemara asked, why did he mention this one? And he said, that doesn't mention this one. That was the Gemara that Testament based. The Gemara mentioned this, and it's asked why the Brisa does not mention it. The Mishnah does mention it. Here it goes. Now it says here Tenu get zeh and Shtar Shechur zeh. Rashi takes out the word zeh. Of course, that's going to cause some complication if it has the word zeh. We'll say it in a minute. But the way we take out the word zeh, Tenu get leishti or Tenu Shtar Shechur la'avdi umeis. Someone instructed to give a get to his wife. He said, give a get to wife. He didn't say this get. He said, give a get to the wife, or give a get Shtar Shechur to the Eved, and he died. So now it's too late. You can't give a get after Misa. It's not possible to give the get after that because he already died. And she's already a widow. She's not going to be a divorcee. You can't give the get after Misa. And also about a Shtar Shechur, you can't liberate him after death because after death, the Yorshim already inherited Eved, and the deceased one is not anymore the owner of the Eved to free him. But in contrast, if somebody instructed to give 100 zuz to somebody and he died, you do give it after death. That's the end of the Mishnah. That's the Mishnah talked about the contrast between the get and the shechur, common denominator. Both of them, you don't give it after death, even though you gave instructions to give it, because since he's not around anymore, so he's not authorized to give a get after he's dead. And also a shtar shechur. But if he said to give money, so you do give it after death. The Gemara is going to discuss. The Gemara is only going to talk about mana. It's not going to talk about the get and the shechur. That's pashut. You can't give a contract after. You can't make a get after that. That's pashut. The Gemara will discuss it. The Gemara did say before in the Testament base that this applies to all kinds of shtaros, all kinds of contracts, not only by get and shechur. Any kind of contract you can't make after death. If it's going to be a shtar, that's makneh. If it's going to be a shtar that causes the kinyan, there's no kinyan nachamisa. The truth is that the money also you can't make a kinyan after death. Could be today they have such a thing that somebody makes a trust, he puts his money into the trust, and then he gives instructions what to do with it after death, and it doesn't go to the Yorshim, and he's the boss even after death. But halachically that doesn't exist. A person is not in charge of his money after death. Somebody, he can't own it after death. So I don't know how it works halachically when people make the trust.
So nowadays, they do it that the minute before I die, it should be.
No, so then he gives it to somebody. But here, who did he give it to? Who owns it? Who owns this trust? I don't know how it works.
Well,
So
in a will, it's like the trustees of the estate, right?
So then who owns it? Who owns it? If someone owns it, if someone's just in charge to execute, as the executor, he doesn't own it. So I don't know if halachically that exists. It has to belong to somebody. Is it hefker? Like what is it exactly? So I'm just saying that
Yorshim is just a matter of getting it.
So that's what I'm talking about. That there's only a Yorshim, but nowadays they do something that even after that the person says what to do with the money, not after that they go to the Yorshim. But as far as the mission is concerned, there's no such thing, and the person is not in charge of his money after he dies. So when it says over here that if he instructed to give money after his death, the reason why they give it after death is because it already worked in the lifetime. And that's going to be the Gemara. How does it work in his lifetime? He didn't give it over. He just said give. He gave instructions. How is that going to work? That's going to be the sugya. The Gemara is going to talk about how is it possible, or how does the money get transferred in his lifetime, but just saying give. He didn't do it. He didn't give it. It wasn't given over. That's going to be the sugya. But as far as the get lachamisa or the shtar shechur lachamisa, surely it doesn't work. The Gemara before did talk about. I mean, it didn't say beferish, but it could be that we didn't learn that. We didn't explain it at the time. I didn't know it, but it could be that a shtar raya is possible to write after Misa if the kinyan already happened in the lifetime, and now you're just writing a contract in order that it should be proof. Could be done after death. But if it's going to be a shtar which makes the kinyan, that's the actual acquisition through the shtar, that can't be after death by any kind of shtar, and that's why the Brisa doesn't list this, because it's not unique only to get and shtar shikra. It applies to any kind of shtar. That was the Gemara in Daf Tes. So Gemara starts. So as far as I remember, today's daf is not going to talk anything about get. It's just going to talk about the money parts. The issue about the end of the Mishnah. Maybe we'll highlight it for today. The new mana, this ploni you may sit no lachamisa. That's going to be the statement we're going to be working on. How come you give it after death? Obviously, it happened in his lifetime. It has to be that it was acquired to that ploni in a lifetime. How does that work? He didn't give it. He just said instructions, give it, but he didn't actually give it. The reason why we took out the word zeh, just to go back a second, we took out the word zeh because if he says zeh, through get zeh, means he gave to the shliach this document. So then the Gemara spoke about that maybe a shtar shechur, the shliach could be kona. That was yesterday's sugya. That maybe it's considered a benefit, and therefore, according to Rabbanan at least, according to Rabbi Meir, is considered a detriment, and he can't be zocha in chaval adam shlo b'fanav because he's losing parnasa, he's losing truma. But according to the Rabbanan, it's not considered a detriment. And by the shechur, if he gave over a shtar shechur, it will take effect right away because he was zocha adam shlo b'fanav. So Rashi takes out the word zeh.
So when he says to get or
He just gave instructions, give a get. He didn't give the get. If he gave the get, so then it could be called right away. Even though the wife, you can't be zocha because it's a detriment to get divorced. But to get liberated, the Mishnah wouldn't say so simply that lo yitnu. According to Rabbanan, it would have taken effect because the shliach was kona. So Rashi takes out the words there. And he's just instructing, give a get, give a shechur. So the Gemara is not going to discuss all that. The Gemara is going to discuss the money. How did the money get transferred in his lifetime if he didn't give it over? Rav is going to be the speaker in this sugya. So this Amor said in the name of Rav. So that was his statement that the Mishnah by the money it only is going to work if it's piled, svurim, it's piled and sitting in a corner. What do those words mean? That the money is someplace specific. Or else it wouldn't work. But we don't know why he says that. We don't even know yet how it works. But he says that it's only going to work if it's in a specific place. And the Gemara wants to know, what are we talking about? If you learn the Mishnah that says that the money gets transferred in the lifetime, how do you understand the Mishnah? And then you have to have this condition of Suhun and Munachin. But Mayaskinan, what is the Mishnah talking about? The two choices are going to be a healthy person or a person who's dying. And there's a called the Shchibmei around. He has an easier way to make a kinyan. If it's a healthy person, he only has to make a kinyan. There's no way to give over money by saying that I want to give it over. He has to actually give it over. What does it help that it's going to be piled up? He didn't make a kinyan Mashiach. He didn't pull it. Means if you want to give money to somebody, till he makes a kinyan, for instance, Mashiach, other kinyanim also, till he makes the kinyan, he doesn't own it. So the Mishnah wouldn't make sense. If it's someone, a healthy person that said, give money to Ploni, and he died, you don't give it after Misa because the Ploni didn't get it in his lifetime because it wasn't given over. And even if it's in a certain corner over there, we know where it is, doesn't make a difference. A healthy person can't give over money, doesn't make the acquisition unless he gave it over. And what's the other choice? There is a Shchibmei. And we know by Shchibmei, somebody who's dying, the Shchibmei, he's lying from sickness. Shchibmei. He's dying, someone's dying. So then they made a special emergency kinyan that if a person says to give it over, it's as if it's given over. But the Gemara is going to ask, we don't have to have that condition of tzvur and munachin. If it's talking about that the person who's giving is dying, my ear tzvurin can't tzvur nami, even if it wouldn't be piled up in a certain place. Also, the halach is the words of a shchemera are as if they're written and given over. And Chazal helped out that he should be able to make a kinyan before death. If he's not going to be able to give over the money to the place that he wants to get it to, he's going to be very upset and frustrated. They made that it should be, and maybe it's not enough time to make the kinyanim. So they made that a kinyan. They said that a shemera can make a kinyan without doing anything, just with his words alone. But the question is, one of shach, there's no halacha. We have two pshatim in the Mishnah so far. One is going to be a bari, or one is a shemera. But either pshat, bari wouldn't work at all. Bari doesn't make sense. At this point, bari doesn't make sense. There's no way a healthy person can't give over money by just saying give it over. And the shchibmei, I could give it over with just saying give it over. But the question was, according to the bari pshat, there's no sense. And the shchibmei pshat would not necessitate that it should be tzvur and munachin. It doesn't have to be in a specific place. Even if it's not a specific place, he says give. So you have so he should be kona. That's the most problem. When did Rav ever say that he has to be tzvur and munachin? It has to be piled up in a specific place. So we don't have pshat in the Mishnah yet.
Why is it not buried? I don't understand.
A bari who says give over money, it doesn't get given over. It's not given over until it's given over. He's very nice instructions, but then he
there's no
died,
need to
and they didn't give it.
this,
Not no need. It didn't give it over. It didn't give it over, and if he died, the giver who said give, and then he died, but they didn't give it yet, so it wasn't given. So that's it. It goes to the Yorshim. It doesn't go to that Ploni. And the Mishnah wouldn't make sense. The only shot we have in the Mishnah, if you learn the Mishnah, you could say it's talking about a Shchid Meirah, and then we understand that if he says Tanu, so fine, it gets given over, but then he wouldn't need the condition that it should be Tzvona Menachin. So Rav's condition that the Mishnah only is true if it's going to be piled in a certain place doesn't make sense. We have Shana Mishnah. The Mishnah we can get through that it's talking about a Shchid Meirah, but Rav's condition wouldn't make sense. So we're stuck. We don't have Shana Rav. That he says Tzvona Menachin, that it has to be piled up. We don't know what he means. So the Gemara is going to have two possibilities. Amrav's vid.
Had it ready to go, isn't that good? He had
Right.
it ready to go. What was it? It was money? What was
Money.
it? So he had it in the corner and then he died. And
Yes.
he already gave permission, he already gave up an instruction and wants it to go to Plum.
Was the person healthy or sick? Was it?
done?
He was dying. So then it would be very nice shot in the Mishnah. You learn the Mishnah, you say you're pshat. But the Rav said it's only if it's piled up in a certain place, and that condition is not necessary. If a Shkivera said give money to Ploni, even if it's not there, you have to take it from his estate, 100 mazuz, and give it to him. It wouldn't be true that it's not if it's piled up. We have shot in the Mishnah, but we don't have shot in Rav. The Mishnah alone we learned is talking about a Shkivera, and that's why when he said give 100 zuz, you give because it's Kechsubin from Misurin. But Rav's condition that says it has to be dafka if it's piled up over here wouldn't make sense.
Right. So a healthy person that, not a shkibra, even if it's part of the corner, it still doesn't.
Right, doesn't
Yeah,
help, right?
doesn't help
So the
at all.
Mishnah wouldn't make sense.
Right,
And he says Shemera does make sense, but it wouldn't make sense that Rav Smith said
Right,
a
but
condition
why-
dafka if it's
doesn't
piled
make
up.
difference either
So that's
way.
why we're asking. Welcome by the Kasha, Rav Smith's statement, we don't understand it yet. The Gemara is going to say two pshatim. It's going to be Rav Zvid. Rav Zvid says, here's Rav Zvid going. La'olam bebari. It's someone healthy person. So how does the money get transferred? This mission doesn't make sense. Rav, I guess. Yeah. Rav, only biyotcha teneulo leploni. Kama. The mama shloshtan kana. There's a new
I
kinyan. We
just
didn't.
want to tell everybody that you should thank David for bringing down the chairs, all the chairs.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Dan.
He's the one who brought that on.
Michael.
Okay, Michael.
Thank you, Mike.
It's just, you guys come to sit down, but it's.
He'll
it's
call
worked out.
you,
Very good.
Michael, and then he'll call him Doug.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Plony is the end of the
I've
quote.
seen that.
At the end of the quote.
That is like
The
seeing-
mama is kana. The last word of the quote is kana. If the
That he
quote,
said
you're
about
right,
that.
maybe you want the quote. The quote is that he said, you're right. The quotation is only biyotcha teneulo leploni.
And then the.
So the halach is, if it's mama
Rav said, when he
shloshtan,
says that. the
If it was
Rav
Mamash Lashon,
Shloshtan-
Kana. Again, this is a new statement of Rav that we're finding out, that if somebody said, Reuben said to Shimon, you owe me $100 of mine is in your hands. Give it to Levi. Mana libi yadcha, Tnei lo leploni. 100 zuz of mine is in your hands. Give it to Ploni. So if all three of them are there, Mamash Lashon, if it's in the presence of all three of them, means the giver, the holder, and the recipient, there's a li and a you, there's a me and a you and a him. If all three parties are present, kana. So just to get an example, if I would have money by Moshe, and I tell Moshe to give it to Chaim David, Chaim David owns it. Nothing happened. It's still in Moshe's pocket.
There's no,
No transaction, no nothing, no kinyan, and we don't know how that works. It's called mamash lashtan. The presence of all three. That if you have money of mine, we don't know yet how you have money. How do you have money of mine?
You left money, you left. you-
So either the two choices are going to be either pikadon or milva. Either that I asked you to watch it for me, or that I lent it to you. Two possibilities. We'll see in the Gemara. So you have my money, and I say give it to Chaim David. So Chaim David owns it.
A loan from you and you
Or
had ready to give
because
back.
whatever it is, and now I say give it to Chaim David. Chaim David owns it, even though he didn't give it to him. And even if I want to retract, too late. Chaim David owns it already. So that's a new invention. We never heard of that. It fell down. Where did it come from? Mamash Lashdan. We don't know such a thing. We know Mashiach, Agba. We know all kinds of kinyanim. What is this called? Mamash Lashdan. I don't know.
Is he a Shchid Mara?
No. The words. Get the words. La'olam bebari. We're talking about a healthy person, and he says we're talking about Mamash Lashdan. So this is one shot. Maybe just highlight the highlights of Rav Zvid says Bebori, and it's B'mamach Lashtan. Okay, so that's one shot. Here goes another shot.
That's Rav.
That was Rav Zvid. Got Rav Zvid
Rav Zvid in the name of Rav.
in the name of Rav. Rav. Everyone's we're dealing with Rav. Now it comes out of the Chiddush over here. Now, how does it answer the kasha? The question was, how come you have to have Tzvurna Menachin? Why are you saying that's Tzvurna Menachin? That the money, let's say Moshe has it. Why does it have to be Tzvurna Menachin for? So Rashi explains that this pshat is going to say that the din of Mamash Lashon only works if it's a pikadon. If it will be a loan, so then there's no Tzvurna Menachin. It's not here. Yeah, if someone owes me money, but it's not here, you owe me money, and then I say you owe me money, give it to Chaim David. So then it wouldn't work. That's how Rav
But
Zvid.
he's got the money in his hand. He's ready to pay. He pulled the money together. Moshe pulled the money together.
I don't know if that's what the Gemara means. If he says Tzvurna Menachin, Rashi says Mamash Lashon Kana, will come on the first time, but the Gemara is going to say why Mamash Lashon works. The Tzivur Be'inan, the Sav Rav Zvid, La'omar Rav Kana, Ela B'Pikadon, the Kani Lei Kolecha that you say, that if it's a Pikadon, it's mine that you have even. So then I can give it over with Mamash Lashon. But if it will be a milva that you owe me money, so then I can't give it over with Mamash Lashon. And that's how Rav Zvid explained the statement of Rav. Means we're all explaining Rav's the mandam over here. Rav's the one who said it has to be Tzvurna Menachin. We don't know why. Now as Vid said, now it works by a bari, and there's a kinyan called Mamash Lashon, but Mamash Lashon only works by a pikadon. That's why it has to be Tzvurna Menachin. That's one shot. Another possibility. Who's this going to be? We'll find a different color over here. Rav Papa. Rav Papa is going to say it's a shchimera. The Mishnah is talking about a shchimera. The kasha was if it's a shchimera, so then you
have to be in the corner.
you don't need it should be Tzvurna Menachin. If he says give 100 zuz, you give 100 zuz.
Even if it's a malva,
Even if it would be a milva, and it's lent out. I don't know. The Gemara is going to talk about a pshat that doesn't say what you're saying. I'm not sure. And the Gemara is going to utilize another Rav to explain this Rav. It means everyone's coming to explain the Rav in the green. Rav said that's also Rav. Maybe we should just point out that that's Rav. Everything is Rav over here. This is Rav, and this is also a Rav who said about Mamash Lashon. There's another Rav coming up. Everyone's trying to explain Rav. So Rav Papa says there's a be Rav Zvid against Rav Papa. Rav Zvid says somewhat of worry with Mamash Lashon and Dafka with Pikadon of Tzvurna Menachin. Rav Papa says that the Mishnah is talking about a Shchimera. And the question was, Shchimera, then it doesn't have to be Tzvurna Menachin because Manash Shchimera Kichsub Lechamasuim. But Rav said something. Uchidach the Rav, the Amar Rav, Shchimera Shama, Tenu Mana Laploni, Menachasai. If a Shchimera said, give somebody, Ploni, 100 zuz from my estate, depends what he said. If he said Mana Zeh, give him this Mana Nosnet. But if he said Mana Stam, he doesn't say give 100 zuz. He didn't say which 100 zuz. Then you don't give. Why not? Maybe he means 100 zuz, a specific one which is buried someplace. He has in the backyard, he has buried, or in the closet someplace, he has behind the wall, a fake wall, and he had someplace hidden 100 zuz. He meant that 100 zuz. So you can't just take out of his bank account 100 zuz because maybe that's not the 100 zuz that he meant. He meant a specific 100 zuz. So therefore, it has to be dafka. We know which 100 zuz it is. And what should I highlight over here? Shema Mana Kabul. Oh, not the green. We want to get the pink over here, just to keep it consistent. Who's talking? And Chayshin on Shema Mana Kabul, and therefore you have to have Dafka Tzvurna Menachin. So again, everything is Rav. Rav is the one who said that the Mishnah is talking about Dafka if the money is piled up. What does that mean? Is it a bari? Is it a shchimera? So I have two pshatim. Rav Zvid and Rav Papa. Rav Zvid says that he learns the Mishnah somewhat of bari, and the kinyan happening is Mamash Lashon, and it only works if it's Tzvurna Menachin, as Rashi explains that it has to be a pikadon. And
what happened to the kamar at the end? Did you do
Shema
the
Shema
Shema?
Mana Kama. We worry that maybe he meant to say a specific 100 zuz that's buried someplace. If the Shchimera said, give him
I thought it meant
100
the money
zuz,
that was put away for his kabur.
no, money that's buried. Buried money.
Kabur doesn't look good.
And if he means only a specific 100 zuz that's hidden someplace, so you don't know where it is. He didn't have time to explain and he died. So just because he said give 100 zuz, doesn't mean any 100. If he says a specific mana zeh, then you give it. But mana stam, you don't give.
He
So
has
that-
an estate.
What?
He has money. There's money in the bank. There's money.
But he didn't mean to give money in the bank. He meant to give the 100 zuz that's buried in his backyard.
If he,
Why do you assume, why do you assume that? I mean,
We don't
he's got
know. We
money
don't
in his-
know. We-
Everybody knows he's got a pile
Maybe
of money
he'll-
in his drawer.
That he has that for something else. That's for his kids. But the 100 zuz that's under the hidden over there, that's the one he wants to
Yeah,
give.
that's to be
Well,
specified,
choshesh.
that's the idea.
So if he knows, so if he says specifically which one he wants to give, you give. But he didn't say, we're not going to give anything because we don't know. Maybe he meant some unknown 100 zuz we don't know about. So the Mishnah that says that if he said, again, the yellow, if it's talking about a shchimera, the Papa says that Rav will say it's only good if you know which 100 zuz he's talking about. That's called Svarnim Menachem.
why do they use the word kavur?
When you bury money in your backyard, what do you do? What is it called?
That's called buried money, but maybe it means he meant 100 from what he left for his kids. Maybe that's what he meant.
Maybe that would be fine, but maybe he didn't. That we're saying the problem part. We don't know. Maybe this, maybe that. Since we don't know, we're not going to give it. They want to take 100 zuz out of it.
money.
They want to take
Why
out
don't
100
it say Sayan? I don't understand why it says kavur, like, but it said Sayan. Does it, pointed out, like,
No, because.
He didn't point out. He pointed out.
maybe he was talking about some special money somewhere else.
Yes, which is hidden someplace. What should he have said? Tamun.
Okay, Tamun.
Okay, like I don't know.
Kavur, okay.
Kavur is another word only used for
For burying?
burial, for burying a person.
So that's what the answer
Under
said.
the
It can mean hidden.
The word means buried, but putting under the earth is called buried, and whatever you put under the earth is called buried. Probably in English also. That would be.
Late today, they would say putting it under the mattress. Whoever says.
Maybe he meant that which was put under the mattress,
Right.
and we don't know.
We look on we don't know which mattress to look. We don't know where he hid it. Okay, the mattress is not a good example because everybody knows it's under the mattress. We don't know where to look for it. So we can't give any 100 zuz because he didn't mean to give any 100 zuz, only a specific 100 zuz, which we don't know where it is. So therefore,
Manazem means that money under the mattress. That's what it means.
I just want to.
Manazem means the money under the mattress. Where
It tells you which one to take.
Kavur means I don't know where. I don't know which money he meant.
he might have meant money that we don't know about. If he
Okay.
says manazeh, we know which money he's talking about because he said which money he's talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so those are the two pshatim in the Mishnah to explain Rav.
So the Havamina is, before we get to the Maspana, is that by all cases of Shchiv Meraf, he says only if he says one is there.
That's what Rav Papa says, not a Havamina. That's what Papa holds. Rav Papa says that by Shchimera, you're not going to give him, if he says through money Laploni, you don't give it, only if he says which money he wants to give. That's what Papa holds. Could be we can argue, but that's what Papa holds.
Even though we said previously we have a cloud, Surim Dummy.
Yes, that's fine, but you have to know what he's giving. He has to say what he's giving. If he doesn't say what he's giving, we don't know what he's giving. Okay, good. We have two pshatim in the Mishnah with Rav to understand Rav. The Gemara says you don't pass like Rav Papa, even if Rav says Rav did say so. He says here, Rav said the only mana is there, mana time you don't give because chashina. But we don't pass like that. So even if Rav said that, we're not going to be choshesh for that. And if a Shemara said give 100 zuz, we're going to give 100 zuz, not like Rav held.
Because
Okay,
we're not worried about if he meant some special money. somewhere
right,
else. Okay.
right. We assume he meant any money.
Okay.
Now the one wants to know each shot why they didn't hold of the other one. Rav Zvid, Rav Papa, why didn't they hold of each other? Rav Papa, my time Rav Zvid. Why nice shot? They say it's not what a bari, but Rav Shloshtan. The answer is Kasava, Rav Papa.
I have a question before this.
Yeah.
Did they just misunderstand Rav, or what was it mean? Why did they not hold like Rav? He heard Rav a certain way, and he heard Rav the other way.
But everyone is both of them are in the name of Rav. So Rav said this and he said that. So you can say the Mishnah might have meant either case. Here you have
They just said he
Rav,
misunderstood.
what's misunderstood. It means
They
are they both
understood.
valid? Are they both valid pshatim? Rav said
I
it's talking
see.
about Sunim Menachem. We have statements of Rav. Punam Rav said that Mamash Shloshtan works, and if it's only going to be with
Okay, they're
Pikadon,
both
so
valid.
that
I
would
see.
be a
So
vice
why
chat.
did one go that he's healthy, and why did one go that he's
They're both the pshatim are nice.
Okay.
So the Gemara says that Rav Papa, Amar Beis, Kasav Rav Papa, Kiyam Rav, Lo Shnamu, Lo Shna Pikadon, that the din of Mamash Shloshtan, we're saying now that it means Mamash Shloshtan, fine, that's how it works by a bari. But what does it have to do with Svarnim Menachem? It has to be back in a certain place. So Rashi explained that Rav Zvid holds that Mamash Shloshtan only works if the money is a pikadon, like the case that I was talking about. We made up the case of I have money by Moshe. How do I have money by Moshe? So if you say it's Svarnim Menachem, it means Dafka pikadon. Then I can give it over to Chaim David, but not saying give it to him. But if it would be a milveh, it wouldn't work. That's not so simple. Rav didn't say so beferish. So Rav Papa holds that the din of Mamash Shloshim would even work even by a milva. So it wouldn't make sense to say it's one and nothing, because if it's talking about a bari with Mamash Shloshim, it would work even if it would be a loan. So therefore, Papa couldn't have said Rab's Vizpshan. You just stumbled upon a machlokes if the din of Mamash Shloshim applies to a milva also, maybe only by Pikoda, maybe by milva also, and we don't know yet. As far as we don't know anything yet. How does Mamash Shloshim work even? What's the mechanics? How does it work?
What's the problem with the milba?
That
It's not really there.
Right.
It's not like it's in his hand.
right.
It's something that's.
So it's
owed.
harder. It's harder to make the transfer. It's my money. It's harder to transfer without saying give it. I tell the
It doesn't
Lova.
work. There is none.
What?
Kilo, there's no transfer because there's nothing there.
That's the question. That's the machlokas now. Rasvid holds that they wouldn't transfer Mamash Shloshim only by Pikodo, not by a milva. The Papa holds that Mamash Shloshim would work even by a milva.
No, right. It's more making.
Because Papa holds that Rav holds Loshna Milva, Loshna Pikodo, that it would work by a milva also. So then the words of Rav that said that it's Sworn and Menachim wouldn't be true. Because it would be, Mamash Shloshim would be able to work even if it wouldn't be Sworn and Menachim.
They call it
Savurin.
Sure.
That's the beginning of the Gemara in the Green. Okay. Now that way, why does Rasvid not like a Papa's pshat? Rasvid Matam Alama Papa. Why don't you say Mishnah talking about a Shchimeira? And even though we don't pass in Yechoshish for a hidden amount of kavor, but Rav did. Rav was Choshish. Rav says that only one is this. So it'd be a nice pshat. Rav said it's one menachin because it's talking about a Shchimeira, and it's only if you know which specific money it is. Because if you don't have specific money, we'll be Choshish that he meant the unknown monies that we can't give. So that's a nice pshat in Rav. Why did Rav Papa not? Why did Rav Zvid not want to say Rav Papa's pshat? That's the second line. Rav Zvid Matam Lo Makra Papa. The answer is because I have a technical reason why the Mishnah is not talking about a Shchimeira. You want to say the Mishnah is talking about a Shchimeira? I'll prove to you the Mishnah is not talking about a Shchimeira. If I could do that, that knocks off the pshat. I'll show you the Mishnah is talking about a bari. And now the Gemara is going to go back to the beginning of the Mishnah with a get, and the Gemara is going to discuss could you learn the Mishnah? Just to go back to the Mishnah. Could the Mishnah be talking about a Shchimeira? We go back to the Mishnah, and it was a nice shot to say that the Sefer Truman Leshploni is talking about a Shchimeira, and it's Dafka Matzavur and Monachin, or else we're going to be choshesh that he meant the specific money that's buried someplace. That would be nice. But the reason why he doesn't want to say it is because I could prove to you that the Mishnah is not talking about a Shchimeira. Why? Because the Resha talks about a get, and it says that you don't give it. There's some diak over there that it's not talking about a Shchimeira. And that's what the Gemara is going to work on now, to show that the Mishnah is not talking about a Shchimeira.
Because if it was a Shivma, then the get would go.
So that's no,
No, because it's different bet-
no,
detriment anyway.
it wouldn't work. A get, if he
It's
says,
different
even if he's a Shchimeira and he says, give a get and he dies, you're not going to give it because it wasn't given. This din of Kesur and Chamasur is only by money, but the get wasn't given over. So the Mishnah still makes sense.
But for Nevid.
Yeah, but also not. No?
And get Acher Misa.
He didn't give over the get. He said,
Right, he said-
we erased the word zed. He says, give a get.
But
Give a
Shivma.
shikra,
Right.
but he didn't write the shtar. No shtar was written. So it doesn't work. So far, superficially, the Mishnah could be talking about a Shchimeira. He's going to figure out why the Mishnah can be talking about a Shchimeira. Amar, the answer is, again, Razvid, my time alone, Papa. Why doesn't Razvid like a Papa's pshat? The answer is, the Mishnah can be talking about a Shchimeira. Why not? Why? Miriktani Omer 2 gets Elishti, Shtashakazela Avdi, Umeis, Lo Yitnu Lachamisa. That's the quote of the Mishnah. If somebody says give, you have to take out the word zeh again. It's not so nice to have to erase it so many times, but that's what you got to do. Take out the word zeh, take out the word zeh again. Okay, it's hard to erase it so many times, but that's what you got to do. The new get Elishti, Shtashakazela Avdi, Umeis, Lo Yitnu Lachamisa. He gave instructions, give a get to my wife, give a Shtashakazela to my evet, and then he died before they did it. They can't give it after death because there's no get lachamisa. Okay, fine. Now let's analyze the Mishnah. Time of the mace, Amachayim Nosnim. That's only says you don't give it because he died. But if he would still be alive, you do give it. He gave instructions, give a get. So he's still alive. He's breathing still. So we write the get. We give it over to them. Yeah, good. Now, time of the Amatanu. Allah Amatanu ain't Nosnim. Why does the Mishnah say a case of Tanu? Tanu means give it. That's a lot of instructions. That means write it and give it. How do you give it? You have to write it and give it. But there's going to be Allah that by Shchimeira, even if he just said write it, you also write it and give it. So the Mishnah, the terminology in the Mishnah is very subtle, but the terminology in the Mishnah is not talking about a Shchimeira. When a Shchimeira gives instructions to give a get, he doesn't have to say Tanu. Even if he just said Kisfu, he just said write it. We don't take it literally. He meant to write it. What? Write it and not give it. He meant to write it and give it. So you're allowed to give it, even if he doesn't write. A regular husband that says to people, I'm making you a shliach to write a get. So they have no authority to give the get. They just have a authority to write the get. Then he has to decide, does he want to give it? Maybe he doesn't want to have it handy, but he didn't want to give it. But a shchibah that says write a get, we give it.
That it means to be give over, to give over.
So and the reason why he didn't say give, because he was tarud, he's dying, so he doesn't have peace of mind to be able to say also give it. He means right, that's what he means. So the Mishnah, you see, is not talking about the terminology of a shchimera. A shchimera terminology doesn't have to say tnu, it has to say kisvu. So even though it's very subtle, but the terminology shows us we're not talking about a shchimera.
If Shkirma said to no, then.
If he said tnu and he's still alive, you would
He's
give
still
it.
alive.
If he dies, you don't give it. That's probably good, but the deal, if he's alive, you do give it.
But if Shkirma dies and he said kisfu, then you would give it.
No. Once he dies, yeah. Once he dies, he dies. It has to be given in that lifetime. But if he's still alive,
Right, then kisfu.
is enough. So you see, the Mishnah said the word tenu. It's not talking about a shchimera, but a shchimera you don't have to talk about tenu.
Right.
Talk about kisvu. The Mishnah would have made very much sense. He said kisvu get lishti. If he's still alive, you give it. If he dies, you don't give it. If it says the word tenu, that's mashma that even if he's alive, you're only going to give it if he said tenu.
Right.
That's not a shchimera. It must be talking about a healthy person. That's how Reb Zvi derived. The Mishnah talking about a healthy person. If it would have been a shchimera, it wouldn't have talked about tenu. It would have talked about kisvu. Let's read the Gemara inside. Let's start again from Mimai. Last one on the line, Mimai. How do I know it's talking about a healthy person, not a shchimera? Because the Mishnah is Vidik Tani, the Mishnah, 2 lines. The Mishnah says if somebody said, give a get to my wife, or to my Ebed, and he died, you don't give it after he died. But we could derive, now the more takes over, time of the mace, we could derive that only if he died, then you don't give it, but if he's still alive, you do give it. True. Now, time of the Amatanu, the Mishnah is also mashma that you only give it if he said give it. But if he didn't say give it, you're not going to give it, even if he's still alive. Why not? If he's a shchimera, even kisvu would have been enough. A shchimera, even if he wouldn't have said give it, he would give it as long as he said write it. And now it's going to bring a proof to that by shchimera, if he said write it, and he's still alive, you can even write it and give it also. The Tanan.
While he's alive.
Yes, of course, only while he's alive. But he doesn't have to have said tenu. Even if he said kisvu, we take it that he meant to say also give it. Here's a Mishnah. But we show now Yomim, Hayose Bekola, Vama Kisvu Get Ishti. In the beginning, originally, they said if someone's being killed, some kind of a
Chains.
could be chains or something like that. That he's being taken out by the government to be killed. The government, the Goyish government, when they were killing somebody, it's called a kola. Okay, and they're telling him they take him to be killed. He's being taken to be killed, and he said, "Kiss will get lishti." He gave instructions. He didn't want, let's say, the case of Hibum, or reasons why he didn't want his wife to be a widow. The case would be that he has a brother of Hibum. He didn't want Hibum. He wanted to divorce him before he dies, and he said, "Kiss will get lishti." He didn't say tenu. A regular man that says write a get, he doesn't write it, you don't give it. But he said, Kiss will get lishti, you write it and you also give it, because he surely meant that. And he just was not peace of mind because he's being killed.
Could it also be he went to war? Or
No, that's not called a kola. A kola means he's being taken
in chains.
He's being taken to be killed. He's being taken to be killed.
Taken to be killed. Okay.
That was Barishon. That was original halacha. But other cases, they don't. We assume if he wants to give it, he would say give it. But this man, even if he said write it, he also means give it.
Even though he's being taken to kill, he's going to be killed. He's still not shechim. He's not called shchib mara. He's not sick. The difference between shchib mara and somebody taken out to kill. He's still conscious. Fully conscious.
I don't know the halacha as far as other things. He was talking about the din about the kisvu that we don't have the shchimera yet. So far, this halacha only applies. So far, the halacha only applies. We didn't get there yet. So we're in the middle. We didn't get there. So far, we're talking about a person who's going to be killed. If he said kisvu, you give it over. Puzzle. Then that was Rishon, that was originally. But then they amended it and they brought in the halacha. Someone's going overseas, he's going on the ship now, or he's going out to the desert in a caravan, and he doesn't know if he's going to come back. It's not like today someone goes on the plane. In those days he went off on a boat, he doesn't know if he's going to come back. So he also wanted to give a get to his wife in case he doesn't come back. And he said, Kiss will get lishti, but he didn't say tenu. That's a big chiddush. That's a big. If someone's going to be killed, he's very uneasy. The person who's going on a boat or going out to the desert, he does have a big chance he's going to come back. So that's a big chiddush. And here the Chazal Omar that even that if he does it kisvu, he also means kisvu tenu. That's a super chiddush. He's the one who says a even the person who's shchimeran, he says kisvu, he also means kisvu tenu. So after we have the whole, even of Shimon Shizuri, that even a shchimeran is dying, and he says kisvu gepelishti, you also give it, write it and give it. So the Mishnah, going back to our Mishnah, why does it say tenu? If it's someone a shchimeran, I should have said kisvu. So you see that our Mishnah is not talking about the terminology of a shchimeran, it's talking about the terminology of a healthy person. That's why Rav Zvid didn't want to explain Rav was talking about a shchimeran, because the Mishnah is not talking about a shchimeran, it's talking about a healthy person, and therefore explain it's talking about a healthy person with mamash lashtan and after about pikadon, and that's why he needs for him nothing.
Did they retract or what happened?
Who retracting?
What is
Oh yeah, they changed their mind.
They changed their mind that what?
That not only someone's being killed, also somebody who is going overseas or going out to the desert, and he says kiss will get ishti, also you give it also. You don't only write it, you give it. A regular man.
So they widened.
They widened it, yeah.
Oh, I usually think of it was like they stopped it.
No.
Here they widened
Right,
it. They
yeah.
changed their mind.
And they said even more. Shimon says even more. Even if he's not going out on a ship,
Just
he's
gonna be
dying. He's
dangerous.
dying. He's dying.
Well,
He's-
Misukan is a
Misukan
dangerous
is-
area.
it means he's dying. He's a shemera. He's
Okay.
dying on his deathbed. Also, if he says kisfu, he means kisfu to him.
But that was the original case that we started.
That's what we're looking for. We
That's what
found
we're looking
we
for.
found it at the end of the whole line. We found that Shimon Shizuri that he also even a shemera that says kisfu, you also write it and give it. And therefore, our mission that says tenu is not talking about a shemera, because the shemera he would have said just kisfu, and then the mission would have read very nice. He said kisfu, as long as he's alive, you give it. If he died, you don't give it anymore. And since it talked about tenu, so we see we're not talking about a shemera. So even though the halacha would be true, maybe to talk about the sefer Truman Laploni would be true by shemera, and Rav holds that it has to be dafka manazeh. But I see the mission is not talking about a shemera. The mission is talking about a bari. So therefore, Rav Zvid didn't want to learn the mission is talking about a shemera. Almost the end of the sugya. But we have really two pshatim in the Mishnah, and each one explains why it doesn't hold over the other pshat. Masaf Rashi, Oman Neimalan, the Masisna of Shimon Shizuri, Ilmar Abanani. He just says he throws a what is it? A stick into the wheel. That what's it?
A ratchet.
A ratchet.
It's
Okay, I'm not
into the
familiar.
ratchet.
But he says that your proof is only according to Shimon Shizuri. But who says that our mission is of Shimon Shizuri? Means the first opinions don't hold that. The Tanakh Rabbanan say that only by somebody who's being killed or somebody's going out into the desert or into the seas. But someone who's a shemera, if he says kisfu, you don't give it. Only if he says kisfu tenu. So it's not no kasha. If you knew the missions of Shimon Shizuri, then there will be proof that it's not talking about a shemera. Why does it say tenu? It could have said kisfu. But according to Rabbanan, Tanakh, the opposite of Shimon Shizuri, they say that a shemera also has to say tenu. So the Mishnah could very well be talking about a shemera. So therefore he takes the power out of Rav Zvid's complaint, and you can learn the Mishnah talking about a shemera, but you have to say tenu also. Even the shemera has to say tenu. So that's the end of that sugya so far. And now we're going to go into the din of Mamash Lashtan. It came in Agav over here.
But
Because
we're not only shemera, this is not to say kitru.
there's enough focus. If a shemera said kismu, that's enough. Somebody died, he's dying, on his deathbed he said kismu get lishti, and he died.
That is enough.
But Shimon Shizuri says that's enough, you're going to give the get. And no, I'm sorry, I said he died. If he died, you're not sure you don't give it.
Yeah,
He said it's a kismu get lishti, and he's
Give
still
it?
breathing, but he's nobody to talk to.
not lying.
And
Not there.
do you give the get? Do you give the get?
Mm.
So Rav Shimon Shizuri says yes. He said, "Kiss you give the get." The one say no. He didn't say tenu. Maybe he just wanted to write the get and think about it. He didn't. He didn't say. He had to say give it. So you don't give it.
What's the nafkamina?
Is the woman going to get divorced tonight, or is she going to
Is
do
she
yibum?
divorced or is she widowed?
Right. And then they're going to be in the
She
get
gets
the yibum. Let's say
tuba, huh?
yibum would be usually the nafkamina is yibum. Usually a person
Oh.
who divorces his wife before he dies,
There's no-
just to save him from yibum. Either he doesn't want the yibum, or before, yeah, true. Or why is he doing it? Why is he?
There's another
What's he
thing.
interested? Usually the stuff not from yibum, or the
If
brother
you-
is someplace.
If she's still
Another
work,
sort of
then
way.
the two kids have to give her a house all the time. She's not remarried.
Yes, good.
So that's
Okay.
also-
But no, he has to give her ksuba if he divorces. He also has to give her ksuba.
Exactly. There's a bunch of things, monetary things that she.
Alman also gets ksuba. Ksuba is no difference. As far
ksuba, yes,
as far as continuing living in his house, is only if she's an alman. If she's divorced, then she just gets the ksuba, whatever that is. And the almana, she stays now, she doesn't get ksuba. Only she can live in the house and get supported, but she doesn't get ksuba. She wants ksuba, then she leaves the house.
Okay, but eventually she could get both gum and gum. If she leaves at a certain time, she can get.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have two pshatim in the Mishnah. Tenu mana leploni. How do you give it? Either it's a bari or mamash lashtan, and maybe it's only by pikadon. And or shchibera, and the Rav held that it's only if it's present the money because the Rav Tzich that it's a mana kobor, which we don't pass like that. If that's what Rav meant, we don't pass like that. And the Mishnah could surely read shchibera. If we read the Mishnah, we don't pass like Rav about mana kobor. So we can say simple pshat is mana shchibera, and that's the reason why you give the money, because shchibera that said give it, you give the money, and it's already given. It's already kisuv the chumson right away. And if you want to learn the Mishnah talking about a bori, you have to say mamash lashtan, and then you can talk about it. Are we going to pass like Rav that it has to be pikadon or not? That that's not
What's the
somewhere wrong.
shloshtan? I'm confused.
Me, Moshe, and you.
Oh, that's weird.
That's the trio.
Reuven, Shimon, and Levi.
Now we get a bonus to learn about mamash lashtan. There's a new king.
Mamash.
Mamash lashtan.
Mamad Shloshtan.
That's over there in Amar Aleph. You have the
Yeah,
words
yeah,
over there.
yeah.
So now we're going to talk about it.
And we didn't designate what it was.
We didn't explain how it works. What do you
We
mean
didn't say-
designate?
We
What do you
didn't say
mean?
it was alone.
We said machlokes of Zuna and Papa if it's even alone. Maybe it's nafka
Oh,
pikadon,
that there's an argument if even alone.
even alone. Pikadon, yes, maybe
Oh, it'd be cut on because it's there and alone.
alone is harder to transfer if it's
Okay.
it's theoretical. It's like not theoretical. It's not here. Okay, we're going to talk about this. Gufa. Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav. This was a statement of Rav Huna Amar Rav. Manli biyotcha t'nei ploni. You owe me. You have again. They owe me 100 zuz of mine is in your hands. Give it to Ploni. The mamash lashtan kana. If all three of them are standing over there, when he said give it to him, so then
Against it.
he gets it. Amar Rav. Mistav Bill said Rav Pikadon. Abol b'mil below. Rav said. I'll go back to the question about Pikadon. That's not even a milva. We said machlokas already. I was written in Papa. Here more talks about it. Rav said it's reasonable to think that Rav starts talking about a Pikadon, that the money is actually present. The Pikadon. Doesn't have to be here, but it means that the custodian knows that it's in his house. It's physically in the world. If it would be that it's only owed money, so there's no money actually in the world, that's it's owed. So then the din of Hamash Lashon wouldn't work. If I say to my lova, give it to Ploni, it doesn't work. Even though we're all here, the malva, the lova, and the recipient are all here, it wouldn't work. Only by Pikadon.
And we're talking about a loan whose date has not expired.
It shouldn't make a difference, probably.
What's enough community?
Shouldn't make a difference. Because I thought it was before the date, that he
Even-
has no reason
even-
to have the money.
No, even after the date, there's you have to pay money, but there's no specific money that I can point to that's my money. When I lend somebody money until he pays it, there's no specific money that's mine. He owes me. He owes me
Oh,
$100.
so how would he have the authority?
How can he give it over? Right. There's a big chiddush that it should be able to be transferred if it's not physically in the world.
Okay.
Pikadon is good because the money's right there. It's there.
The money is someplace. The money is physically someplace. It's in the house of the custodian. Doesn't have to be, the money doesn't have to be there. The people are there, but it's physically there. That's what Rava says, Mr. Abroad. That would make sense. But by Elohim, but I swear, by God, that Rav says that by Milva, which is like Rav Papa said on the top of the page, that it's not only Pikadon. Did I get the names right? That's not Rav Papa, yeah. That Rav Papa and Rav are saying the same thing, that according to Rav, it's even by a Milva. Rav Zvid said Tafka by Pikadon. It's one of Menachem. But Rav Papa said, no, even by Milva, and Rav says, Rav agrees. Elokim, I swear to Hashem, I swear by Hashem's name, that even by Milva, Rav holds, you say, Mamash Lashtan.
Rava himself does not hold by the Nova, but he said Rav.
No, he
does.
just says, I would have thought that Rav meant only by Pikadon, but I'll tell you the facts, that Rav said it even by Milva.
Oh,
Svara would have said, Dafka by
Mistabra is
Pikadon.
that
The reasoning
his
would have said,
reasoning would have said.
but the fact is that Rav
I
said
see.
even by Milva. And it seems to be the
Okay,
halacha
is
by it.
that because he witnessed or heard Rav say this, and that's why he's giving it? He's.
I guess so. How does he know? How does he know?
He's saying, "I know." And
I know that
swear."
Rav said even by Milva.
And what do we do with that? Is that
So far, it seems that's going to be the halacha. I see a little base over
it's
there.
strong, right?
That even by Milva, that Rav says even by Milva. Rav Zvid said not. Rav Zvid said Dafka by Pikadon. But Rav Papa and Rava say that Rav holds even by Milva. Itmanami, Shmuel, Mishmei the Levi, different names coming up now. Till now we had Rav. And everyone wanted to know what Rav say. Shmuel, in the name of Levi, said, Milva Libya, here's the word Milva, Milva Libyotcha, Tanei Lo Ploni, the Mamash Loshon Kama. That even though alone, not only because even a Milva, you owe me money, give it to him. So it gets transferred. Automatically it transfers, it belongs to the recipient, even though the money's not here. Okay, we have already Rav and Shmuel and Levi. Everyone seems to hold that Mamash Loshon works even by Milva. The time of my, how does it work?
What happened to the Mamad Shloshtam?
That's what we're talking about.
I'm getting confused. Give it to him, so they give it to him. That's the Shlosh.
They didn't give it to him. He said, you didn't get the money. I asked Moshe, give it to him. You already own it. Even if you didn't get it, just the fact that I said, give it to him, and all three of us are present, it works. And you got it. And now the Gemara is talk of time of mind. How does it work? Why does the mechanics? How does Mamash Loshon work? How did it get transferred? The Gemara seems to be happier with Pikadon. The Gemara doesn't explain. By Pikadon, the Gemara doesn't have difficulty. I don't know how. The Gemara doesn't explain Pikadon. That if it's actually physically in the world someplace,
there's no transfer. Because there's no parties. It's just the money's here.
I mean, there's no transfer.
Because the money is in
you have the mafkid, the nifka, then the recipient. Lev Yaakov has a Pikadon of mine. And please watch this.
Yeah.
So he's watching it. And now I tell him, give it to Chaim David.
Yeah,
No, you didn't give it to Chaim David. If you gave it to him, then he gave it to him. But I said give it to him.
We'll give it to him.
So it belongs to you already.
Even now, you don't have the right to
I
retract.
can't retract because it's already given.
Because he's in the room.
Because in the room, all three of us, three of us in the room.
Thing about
That's a big
and I gain because it's something that I would gain. What about the gaining that we talked about the gear and the shifur avadim? Is that the same? Different world. Okay, you should do that.
So we're saying Rav and Shmuel hold the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
And Rav, there's a machlokas where Rav held. Rav's papa and Rav's vid.
Yeah.
Rav swore that Rav says
was
even
this
by a
way.
Nova, and Shmuel and Levi say the same thing. And that's why we're going to pass it. It seems like the most popular opinion is that it works even by a Nova, not on a Pikadon.
Yeah.
This case was a Pikadon. Now, not a Pikadon. Someone owes me money. And I say, give it to the Chaim David in our also it works.
This opinion says
And you're saying it all automatically, it's going to go to.
Right, already it's already
He has to
going.
be in the room.
Right.
Mhm.
And now the Gemara wants to know, time of my, how does it work? Now, the Gemara is not bothered by Pikadon. I'm not sure why the Gemara is not. The Gemara doesn't explain how does a Pikadon work. Even if it's a Pikadon, even if it's a, how do you say, the person is a custodian. What is the thing called? What is the object called?
The collateral.
The collateral.
I don't know. whatever it is.
Collateral. That's what it's called. The collateral. A Pikadon is called the collateral.
In other words, what about his,
What does a collateral mean?
That's mashal.
But this is stomach. Please
not a
watch this for
collateral.
me.
This is a thing.
I have
Object. So by Pikadon, the Gemara has no problem how it works. And I don't know. That's also how does it work? How did it transfer?
I just have a side question. The Pikadon, you give me your, this, and I'm watching it for you. So I'm
Yeah.
like a Shomer Chinam.
Yes, if I'm not paying you, I am
And
paying
now
you.
when
You're
you
Shomer.
say, give it to him,
It belongs to him.
and I'm Pater, I'm not a
Oh, who
Shomer,
says you have to watch it now? Okay. Can
right? You said it
Now you're
on.
Shomer.
you can tell. You can tell. I'm not.
But you're
But
responsible.
you
You can say I'm not.
Negligence.
You can say I'm not. I'm watching
You're
it.
responsible for negligence.
You can say I'm not responsible to watch it.
he has to
anymore.
also,
True.
just like he has to watch it, he also has to give it.
Of course, he has to give it. He can't
He
say
doesn't have to deliver.
No,
He doesn't have to
pick it up.
deliver it. He doesn't have-
I mean, if he can make.
Thank you.
All right, I'll walk over.
Okay,
I'll
but
walk
the-
over to your house. Not such a big-
The Gemara is worried.
No, you don't have to walk over because they're in the same room. If it's not the same room.
Oh,
But
it's
the
not-
object doesn't have to be here. The object.
You mean they could be in your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the Gemara wants to know how does it work by Halva. I don't know why the Gemara is happy with because I also don't know how it works. But the Gemara wants to know how does it work. I'm not Meimer. So I have a couple of choices how it's going to work. So we'll maybe highlight a little bit that we're coming now that Afilu B'milva. That's how it works. Afilu B'milva. Oh, okay, red. I'll take it down. My red usually needs to cross out. Okay. Afilu B'milva. And now we want to know how does it work. So we're gonna have a couple of pshatim over here, and some of them are not going to work. First thing, Omer Amema. Nasa kamulo b'shas matan mos shabad malach l'didach l'chol dasu machamasa. It's as if the lova, when you lend money, the lova says, I'm obligated to pay you. We look at it as if the lova says, at the time you receive the money, at the time that the lova received the loan, he doesn't only obligate himself to the lender, he obligates to anybody that the malva is going to, how do we say in English? What? Represent. He's coming in his, ba'ikocho. That's how they call it in Hebrew. Anybody that is coming because, or he's coming of his power. Anybody that the malva is going to empower to receive the money, the lova originally obligates himself. The chiddush of the Gemara is that how did it transfer? The answer is that the lova, when he borrows money, he obligates himself to pay the malva. Not only that, he also a little asterisk. He also obligates himself to anybody that the malva is going to decide. If the malva decides that it should be obligated, to somebody else, it's understood, it's unspoken that the lova obligates himself at the time of the loan to anybody that the malva is going to decide.
And that's like a given in all loans.
Yes, and therefore, if they meet up, dafka mamash shloshtan, I don't know why, but if it's mamash shloshtan, so then the way the mechanics that it works is going to be that the lova to the malva.
It's as if the lova is the borrower.
The lova is the borrower.
It's as if the borrower said,
at the time of the giving of the money, which when he received the money,
yeah.
he said the following. The following is in quotations.
At
At the time of the money was given, which means at the time that he received the loan.
When the borrower didn't give money, he got money.
Right.
Who
That was
gave-
given, at the time that the lender gave the borrower money, it's as if the borrower said the following words.
Okay,
I'm obligated to you and to anybody that comes on your account.
obligated to you, for you, and for anyone else that under you.
It comes not under literally, but it means anybody comes because of you.
Or
Because-
designate to come.
Because of
And-
her.
They designate.
Designate. It's not it's not a literal translation also. Okay.
Mathematike. Okay, yeah.
Okay. So Rashi says, what if now the malva wants to give it to somebody that did not exist at the time of the loan? Amalei Ravashi, inside the words, Amalei Ravashi Lameim, according to your pshat, Elamayata, if that's so, Piknan Linolodim, the lo Havu Bishas Matan Mo Sachinam the lo Kanu. If now the lender wants to give it to a third party who was born after the loan, is it not going to work? If the only way that it works is that the lova, the lumdis, the mechanics is that the lova obligated himself at the time of the loan to be obligated to anybody that malva decides, that only would work if the third party recipient eventually is somebody that exists in the world right now. But if he doesn't exist right now, he can't obligate himself. What?
Now the loan.
The time of the loan. If he wasn't born at the time of the loan, even though he was born afterwards, and then the malva says to the lova, give it to this 5-day-old baby,
Right.
and he wasn't around at the time of the loan, so it doesn't work because the whole loan just works that at the time of the loan he obligated himself to any party that you're going to eventually designate, like it looks in retrospect. You're going to designate, like Brera, you'll designate who I'm obligated to. I think I'm obligated to you, maybe not. I'm obligated to anybody that you're going to tell me eventually. But actually, I'm obligated now. That was the whole kasha. How does it work? How does it transfer?
I'm obligated to anyone you designate. Why can't that be somebody who designates in the future?
Because he has to be that I'm obligating myself now to that person, and I can't obligate myself right now to somebody that doesn't exist. If it will be at the time later, okay, but now he's saying that it has to work at the time of the loan. That was the whole Gemara's problem. How does it transfer? How does my obligation, how does the loan's obligation to the malva transfer to this third party? How did it happen? So the Gemara's the alumnus was that it doesn't transfer now. Originally, he obligated himself to anybody that you're going to decide. But when is the obligation happening? At the time of the loan. But at the time of the loan, this third party didn't exist. He wasn't born yet. So you can't obligate yourself stuff to somebody that doesn't exist. Again, they're about 7 lines up. If he is giving it over to somebody that's born and it wasn't there at the time of the loan, will it not work? Even Mary says that you could make an acquisition on something which the object doesn't exist yet, but that's only the object. If the one you're giving it to, the recipient exists. To somebody that doesn't exist, you can't obligate yourself. There's a called the object. They talk about, can I give you an object that doesn't exist yet? There's a tree that is going to produce fruit. Can I be marking you the fruit which are not yet here? So Rabbanan say no, Rabbi says yes. You can be marking that's only the object, but I can't be marking to a person who doesn't exist. So this whole lumdus of a member wouldn't work if the person didn't exist.
So what does it mean? Yeshno be'olam, if it says shalom babel? What's the reason yeshno be'olam and shalom babel?
Were you reading?
Even though Rabbi Meir says
No,
that something that shalom babel works,
There's the davar and there's the lid davar.
a davar and a lid davar.
The davar is the object that I'm giving over. The lid davar is to the recipient. Other makta davar shalom ba'olam, as long as it's lid davar sheyeshna ba'olam. I could give you an object. I can give you who exists an object which does not yet exist, but I can't give something to someone that doesn't exist. I can't obligate myself to someone that doesn't exist.
To something that doesn't exist.
I cannot.
I see.
Maybe how about if there's a 5-day-old baby when the loan was made?
That's okay.
Then
Not
it's okay, he's in the
Not
world.
consciously.
That's okay. That's okay. He exists. He exists. That's okay. But if he wasn't born, then you can't obligate yourself to another.
It has to be in the world, and then
Right.
it doesn't matter if he's conscious or not conscious.
So this shot doesn't go. The mechanics of Vamish lesson doesn't work with the lumdus of Amema, because then it will be limited to only somebody that existed at the time alone. And it seems that's not true. So I have to look for another shot. We have some time?
Why isn't that true?
Because the Gemara understands that Mamish lesson works even to somebody that was not yet born at the time of the loan. And the
Where do
lumdus
we know
won't
that
work.
from? I'm sorry, I don't.
That's a given, it seems. We never found that
I
they
don't
say
see that.
that Mamish Lashtan, he's saying it's not going to work to Davar Shelo B'Lo to a person who's not born. Surely it does. Means we never heard of this thing that Mamish Lashtan is not going to work to someone that wasn't here at the time of the loan. So that's the more kasha that the lumdus doesn't work. So we need a new lumdus. We can go further. Elama Rav Ashi. Top line. A new lumdus,
This was Rav Ashi's pasha.
and therefore he's going to say
You're
his
saying
own
that
shot.
because it's not, it doesn't work in all cases?
Right,
Is that what his
Right,
problem?
right. And therefore he has to find a new mechanics. How's it going to work? Bahi anod the kamishtanule ben milva yeshana the milva chadasha kamra mishabed nafshei. The question was, how does it transfer? Now, when I say to the lova, give the money to a third party, different party, how does it work? How does it the mechanics? That the lova is benefiting something. The lova is happy about it. The lova gains the fact that he doesn't own the original malva. He owes the new party. Why is he happy? Because he gets an extension for the loan. Till now, it's already a loan that's the malva expects at a certain time. Maybe it's even due date already. And now that he got a new malva, he feels more comfortable to pay a little bit later. Like, he just got the money. In 30 days is fine. Of course, like he just got it. Even though the due date really should be the original due date that was owed to the first malva. But he said, no, he just got the money. He just got the present, so he'll give an extension. So the lova is happy about that. It's worth money to him. That extension is worth money. So with that benefit that he's changing from an old loan to a new loan, he gives over. He decides and he obligates himself now. Not shays himself. The lova obligates himself now. Not at the time of the loan. At the time of the loan, he only obligated himself to the malva. But now that he got a new benefit, that's worth money to him. And with that benefit, he's now gonna obligate himself presently to the new recipient.
Why is it a benefit? He's only giving back to the loan.
He's gonna get an extension that he can give it later because it's a new malva and he
can still do masa matim with that money.
of course people like that, get extension of the loan.
Right?
One.
What are the last three words?
He decides, he completes his das, he decides, and he obligates himself. Now, he obligates himself. The question was that the more I thought of Meimar, he has to obligate himself at the time of the loan. But if he didn't exist, there's nobody to obligate himself to. Yeah, the case is the word is he obligates himself now, presently, when they make this transaction, new transaction. So a new transaction, a new
extension.
You get now that it's being given over to a third party. So now the lova feels happy that I can extend the loan now because he's He's new on the field. He is a new player, so he's not going to be so makbid that I should give it on the day that it's due. Another complaint against Rav Ashi's pshat. Also, your pshat is not going to be foolproof. It doesn't always work. There are some people that are not so easygoing. When someone owes them money, they don't play any games. You pay me right now, and even if they just got the loan, there's a due date. You owe me the date, so you have to pay me right now. The name of the family was El Yashiv. Hani the Bar El Yashiv. There was a family called El Yashiv family, and they were very big kabdanim. They didn't go for nonsense. You owe me money, you pay me right now, and if not, we tie you up. Kafsi, they tie him up and they take the money right away. They don't give it any extensions. If you owe me money, you owe me money. So you're going to say that. In other words, you're only going to say that the lova is going to, the whole mamash lashon only works when the lova is gaining something because he gets an extension. But if he doesn't get an extension, he's not gomer. We don't find such halacha. Mamash lashon works even by tough people. You're going to say it doesn't work. If you're going to say yes, maybe it doesn't work. It only works by people that you get an extension. No, in you're giving your word of different measurements. It means you have to evaluate each person. If he's a tough guy, if he's the easygoing guy, it doesn't sound like that. Mamash lashon works in all cases, and therefore you have to say a pshat, which is going to cover all grounds. So we're looking for a pshat. How does mamash lashon work? Elam mazutra, hanit lasmili shavinu rabbanan kilchasabulot taima. This is one of those three things. There's another two coming up. There are three things that the Chachamim made like Allah without a reason. Means it doesn't have to have a reason. It works. How do you say lama kacha? That because. Why? Because. And Rashi seems to say that it works with hefker, best and hefker. That Bezdin has the right, the Chacham have the right to transfer monies without having to do anything with the kinyonim. They could say you have the right to confiscate money. You have a right to give money. So we're going to do it. Mamash Loshtan. It doesn't say in the Gemara why they did it. Tasha says the reason why they did it is because sometimes you have to have a transaction without doing actual kinyan. And this is probably like the Kanas Ashuk. People in the market, they have to be able to make transactions, easygoing transfers. Like today also, is to make a transfer. You want to make a transfer of money, you have to have an easy way to do it. They made it now so easy. People do it with their phones, they're making transfers the whole time. So they have to make a way to make easy transfer. So they invented a new way that if you have mamash shlosh, then it works, even though technically, yes, the mechanics, how does it work?
Three. My match.
Oh, that thing that was.
So how does it work? Cash the whole so yes, how does it work? There are one who said it should work. How does it work? Rashi says hefker, bez, and hefker. They have the right to confiscate money. They have the right to give money. They're not counting. No one did anything wrong over here. But you want to know the lumdus how it works. The chacham have the right to transfer monies. And why did they see it fit? Doesn't say. But Taisa says because they had to make it easier in the shuk to be able to do transfers. So if the three parties are there, even by a milva, by pikadon, you also can make the transfer. How? Why? Because.
But where's the base din involved? I mean, it was because it's the din of
This invention that the Chacham made. The Chacham made such an invention. We asked them, how do you have? Which mechanics did you use? They say, we said so, and that means hefker. The more doesn't say, but it means hefker. And hefker Rashi says that they have the right to confiscate money and give it to whoever they want to. So they confiscated the money. Now, no one did anything wrong, but we want to be able to make it transfer. So we'll say it doesn't belong to you anymore; it belongs to him.
We don't need that because they're going to do what we're told to do. The Malve says to the law.
That doesn't. That doesn't work. That doesn't make that you own it.
Oh,
it doesn't.
Oh, they can enforce it.
They say that it works. It just got transferred. You say it just got transferred.
Oh.
It's not in my pocket. It belongs to you. How do they do that? They can do that.
It's the follow up, and it was they didn't.
The question was how it works. The answer is that the Chacham said that it should work,
Right.
and they have the right to do that with financial matters. They can do that. And the Gemara throws in another two things also. We find this is already a bonus. The whole thing's a bonus already. Now we're getting even a bigger bonus. How does it work? Chadaha. One of the three things is this one we just mentioned.
Where are we?
We're on the how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The first word is chadaha. One is the one we just mentioned. V'idach, there's another one. If a person wrote in his will, all his estate goes to his wife. He left out the Yoshim. He left out the wife doesn't really Yashin the husband. And he wrote in a will that he's giving all of his estate to his wife. So he didn't mean what the Chacham are going to say that doesn't go to the wife. It goes to the Yoshim. And she's just apotropos. She's going to be the executor. She's in charge of it, but not that she gets it. And probably the word is that the Chachamim evaluated, that's what he meant. Even though he said he bought a star, he said that all of it goes to my wife, and she comes with a star. The whole estate belongs to me. And we say no, he didn't mean that. It doesn't. It doesn't. It belongs to the children, and you're in charge of executing it. That's also like Hilchos Timer. That there's no obvious reason how it works. The Chachamim say that it works. They have the right to do that. The Mefarshim say, I think that the reason is because that's what he meant. Not that he can't do it if he wanted. If he wanted to, he could. Probably there's a way to do it in a way that if he doesn't want to give it to his wife, there's a way to do it. He can make it, maybe he leaves out a penny or something like that in a way to show that he's serious, he really means to give it to his wife. But if he just wrote, I'm giving all my estate to my wife, it doesn't go to her, she becomes the executor. The Idach, and the third halacha, which is like Hilchos Abulot if a person when a person marries off his eldest son in a house, he built a house for the
Isha is the man here, or what does it mean?
a woman. Isha is a woman.
When a woman marries off?
No, when
If one marries off-
one marries off a woman,
Or when one marries off
to his marries a woman to his oldest son, which
marries
means
a woman
he's-
to
his oldest son. In a house, the son gets the house. So after that, I get a little bit step back. The base chasnas the Gemara says was 4x4 amos. It's like it's 2 by 2 meters. That was the base chasnas they used to make. They used to make a little room, and that would be like the new. So that was the new room that the father built for his eldest son when he married a woman.
So
So
they
that
married in that room.
that was you call it that.
The bite?
In a room, that newly built room, or not
That's
newly
where the
built.
wedding was.
Yeah, the wedding in those days wasn't like today. The
I know,
wedding
I'm
was
just
in the
saying
house,
that-
and they had a room that they're gonna live over there.
But they made the wedding in that room.
Call it that. That's where they lived. That's where they went to. The wedding could be in the next room, but it means he gave it to him, and that was the chuppah. The chuppah really means the place where the man and woman they live together. So that was the room that he gave. Either he built it or he gave it. They gave him a room in his house.
Okay, he
So
gets
then
it. Conan.
the Kohen. And the point is going to be because the father meant to give it to his son as a present. But even if he says he didn't, the Chazal say that he did, and it automatically goes to the son.
That's the
Wait,
third
what,
one.
when it said Chader, what was, is that the first example, the one we?
That was a Mamad Shloshtan invention. There's a Mamad Shloshtan
Right,
invention.
that's.
And there's another thing that if someone made his wife to own all of his estate, he didn't mean that. He just meant she should be the executor. And the third one is if someone marries his son, his eldest son, in a house, in a room, the son gets the room. Unless, of course, if he specified that he doesn't want to give it, he says Farish is not giving it. But the stam is that he meant to give it. And Chazal say that it works, even though the father comes saying, I never meant so, they say you did. And they have Hefker Bez and Hefker. If need be, they say that we can transfer it even if you don't like it. But I think it means only on the regular circumstances. If he says Farish, I'm not giving it, I think that he also has the right to do that.
The cases that the Beit Din can enforce something.
Should we stop here?
We're ahead
I
of the
guess
game.
so, yeah, I guess we should stop here. Still middle, Mama Shloshtan, we'll stop over here.
Up to what word?
Till Pano.
No. Pano means that he acquires it.
Right, the son acquires it.
Son acquires it.
Okay. Here's the color.
So they. All schwarze slave never.
Okay.
That's so good, huh?
Not a slave. He's probably on death row.